Hi you guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Torrence, and in today's video I wanted to talk to you about a few things. This past week has been exciting and jam-packed. Not only did I celebrate my birthday, finally picked a giveaway winner for my 100 subscriber count. She was excited, and I love the fact that you all were so positive and supportive in the comment section. All she got was congratulations and thanks. So I just cannot wait until we hit the 1,000 subscriber mark so I can do another one, because that was truly fun. To think that I honestly thought, with my channel only having less than 100 subscribers when I decided to do that giveaway, I really thought that most of the people would be right here in my home state of Michigan, or at least right here in the country of America. But the winner, not in America at all. It had to be shipped international, which on one end it sounded like it would be tough because I didn't want the person to have to wait a long time to get the item. But the idea of someone on the other side of the planet tuning into my channel is like, that's shocking, and it just blows my mind to think that things are only going to get bigger and better and my reach is only going to get further. So I want to just once again thank everyone for the support, not only for me but as well for the giveaway winner. But with that being said, last week was very jam-packed, and I sort of got caught up in the moment, and things have not just been getting caught up yet. I've tried to be sticking to a 3 times a week video schedule, doing Monday, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. And I completely forgot that I need to get my hair done. I've recently cut my hair into an asymmetrical style, and so this is no longer anything that I can maintain myself. I need someone else who has the skills to hold those small flat irons to get the sides and the back. That's not me, so I just basically did just enough to pull my hair together. I still have brushes and things to wash. So for this week, you're gonna probably recognize this hairstyle and this t-shirt because I'm gonna do all my recording today. But I wanted to show you my collections for 3 different brands and give you all the option to actually choose the next few tutorials. I'm going to show you all of the palettes I have right here from Pat McGrath today. I'm also going to choose 2 other brands to do for Wednesday and Saturday, so stay tuned for those. So if you want to see my Pat McGrath collection, just go ahead and continue to watch. Alright, the first 3 that I want to show you are the quads. Although I believe all 3 are still available, they are hard to get depending on the retailer you go through. This first one is called Iconic Illumination. It comes looking like the standard Pat McGrath Mothership palettes, except this one is not quite as large or as heavy because this only comes with the 4 shades on the end, which we all call the special shades. And I still keep all of the cardboard pieces here that comes with them because they don't have the shades written inside. I know for many people that can be a downbreaker for them. For me, I'm someone who just genuinely wants to know what the shades are. I only wish that you could pop these out and rearrange them to your liking. Hopefully in the future, Mother McGrath does that for us. But here, as you can see in the Iconic Illumination palette, this is probably the most neutral of the 3. That shade there is my absolute favorite just because it's so sparkly and so shimmery. I want to see if I could possibly get a close-up of these, but many times when you try to do close-ups, your lighting goes terrible. So we're gonna try, but I can't promise anything. This one here is Iconic Illumination. The next quad is called Nocturnal Nirvana. This is my favorite of the 3 just because it's the most colorful of them all. You gave me a green, gave me a purple, a blue, and a gold. I call this my mermaid dream. It's like 4 special shades from Pat McGrath, all colorful. The only thing that could have made this better is if it was 4 different shades of green. But with this color story, I am not disappointed. And I want to see if I can go ahead and give you a close-up of this one as well. And here's a close-up of this palette. And this one here was probably the most difficult to get and the most sought after. The Ritualistic Rose. This is also neutral, but because it has much more of those pinky tones, they went crazy, and I hurried up and grabbed it to make sure I had it before it sold out. I'm gonna go ahead and give you a close-up of this one. I think if you have that Divine Rose palette or the Bronze Ambition palette, this will go beautiful with those. Next up, we got the big mamas, the Mothership palettes. These are the luxurious ones that started the hype for the brand. If you were already a Pat McGrath fan, you may have started when she first launched the brand. But these here at $125 is what everybody was after. And when I tell you, the detailing, the shininess, the weight, look at that. It's even etched in right here instead of it just being like, although there is a sticker right here on the bottom, most of the writing here is etched into the metal. And it is absolutely stunning. This first one here is Mothership I Subliminal. Isn't she adorable? Actually, let me see if I can get a close-up for you all. This is Mothership I. This is the Subliminal palette. And I actually have a tutorial for this one. I'll leave it linked right above. And although Mother McGrath dropped the first 3 Mothership palettes at the same time, this was probably the very last one of the first 3 for me to grab, just simply because at the time, neutrals with a pop of blue were all the rave. And with greens being my favorite, I went after that one first. But I had to have this one, and she is a cool toned dream. With most of these larger Mothership palettes, we tend to get the 4 special shades only here on the end, and these 6 shades over here on the left hand side tend to be a mixture of matte and metallic shades. And it was the fact that we had all 3 finishes, but these 4 over here is what really set the mark because no one had ever seen a formula like these. I managed to get them when they first came out, plan on never getting rid of these. And the palette that goes with these were the 6-pan Mothership palettes. Although all of the smaller 6-pan palettes were given names, and many of them have names that match up with the larger 10-pan palettes, I don't tend to line all of mine up just by the names. I tend to go by the color story. And with this one here, the Mothership Subliminal palette, the 6-pan, I actually have this one lined up side by side with it because I feel as if the color story matches. To me, these were absolutely stunning. The packaging and detail on this, it looks like an old school letterhead. I want to give you a close-up of that there. Oh my, Mother went all out for that. Then on the inside, we have our 6 shades. And as you can see, although this does not have the pop of blue effect going on, it is still very much so a cool tone palette, which is why I loved it so much, and I have it here. And I do want to apologize if you hear any background noise. I am recording this on Sunday the 13th, and a few blocks over there is a church having outdoor service, so they may be really loud. I'm trying to record in between them, but the music comes and goes, so I do want to apologize once again for any background noise. Next up is the one I was most excited to get when they first launched, the Mothership II Sublime palette. This palette, as you can see, is more of a warm neutral palette with a pop of green. And with greens being my favorite eyeshadow color, I had to have this palette. There was no way Mother was going to drop palettes and I not get the one that has that green special shade in it. I personally wish she would come out with a palette that has some matte greens to it, but we're going to continue to wait and hold this one dear to my heart until she does. Oh, and I forgot to give you all the full name of these palettes. Although this first 6-pan one here is referred to as Mothership Subliminal, the name is Platinum Bronze. So that was number 1 that went with the Mothership 1. Mothership 2 also has a 6-pan palette. That larger one was called Mothership Sublime. This one is called Mothership Sublime Bronze Ambition. Has this packaging here. And another thing was the packaging from the small 6-pan palettes matched the box that went around the larger palettes that have the matching names. Those gold lids, that bold red lip, the decal of the bee, like, oh, honey. How could you not fall in love? This one is a lot more neutral than the larger palette because it doesn't have the pop of green. But for an everyday look, this may be the one that you want to turn to. Next up, Mothership III Subversive. Purples always seem to be a fan favorite, so when she dropped this, I knew that the girls were going to go crazy over it. And when you see bold, vivid colors like this, you can understand why they like it. You got your colors that come off more pinky toned, some that come off more blue toned, so it gave you a variety of things to play with. Although this palette had the least amount of mattes, I believe, it was still a fan favorite and helped sell like crazy. And following Mothership III Subversive, the larger palette, was her miniature 3-pan palette, the Mothership Subversive La Vie en Rose. I really wish she would go back to this old school format that she had because I was absolutely in love. And when you get to the inside of this palette, you can see why the fans truly love the extension. It's just as vibrant and bright, if not even more so. So to add this to the larger Mothership palette you had, it really extended the color range that you had to offer and helped broaden your creativity while you were doing your makeup. So I absolutely love this palette, and to me, I really wish she would bring these shades out as individuals. Next up is Mothership IV Decadence palette, and this is where things started to take a turn. For me, I absolutely loved it because Pat McGrath makes my favorite shimmer formula. So to come out with an all shimmer palette didn't sound like an issue. What was really surprising though is that she still hasn't come out with an all matte palette or a 10-pan palette that contains all of the special shades. We've only got one with the all metallic formula. And although I find it beautiful, I can understand why many people has not picked it up or just truly has no intentions of picking it up even when it was on sale. But this seems to be the one that is the absolute most limited edition of them all. This one comes and goes off the market, so I was glad to get it on the very first run. But this here is just an all shimmer palette. If you're not someone who uses shimmer in the crease or as a transition, you more than likely would have to reach for another palette. But I have it here. I absolutely love it. And I even put this in my video where if I could only keep 10 palettes, which ones would they be? And I'll make sure I leave that linked above. Although I love this palette, out of all 8 of the larger Mothership palettes, I think this is probably the one I would least recommend to someone who's just starting out. If you're someone who already has a matte formula that you absolutely love, this would probably be the one I would recommend to you. And because Mother didn't come out with the Mothership Decadence palette, I had to figure out which one I wanted to pair it with. What Mother did was take the next 3 palettes and repeat the names of the first 3 palettes that she had, the Subversive, Sublime, and Subliminal, and just gave the individual palettes new names. So this one here is the Mothership Subversive, but it's called Metalmorphosis. And I like the packaging here. But to me, this is more decals and things like that. And although I think this may have been beautiful for a keepsake box, considering the fact we had actual models for the photo shoots for the first 3, I would have preferred to keep that theme going, just picking a new model and a new theme for the packaging. But I can understand why they went ahead and wanted to switch things up here. And this is the inside of the palette. And the reason I paired this one up with the Decadence palette is because this one as well is an all metallic formula palette. There are no mattes, there are none of the special shades. So this one here just seems like the perfect pair to match up with the Decadence palette. I rarely use this one just because I have the larger one, but I'm gonna make sure I get more use out of all of my Pat McGrath palettes because I'm gonna start pulling them out more often. Next up, out of all of them, I think if any of these palettes has truly caused a stir in the makeup world, it is Bronze Temptation Mothership V. And everybody I know who had it recommended it. It was always trending on YouTube. And the reason this palette means the most to me out of all of them is because this one was a gift. This was a gift to me for Christmas by my best friend Chanel, and it just, the idea that someone was willing to even get me something so expensive, let alone something that I wanted so bad but could not afford at the moment. Oh yeah, baby, this one is special to me. Out of all of the Mothership palettes, this is probably the one I've used most on other people just because it brings me so much joy that I love using it on other people to make sure they can have that same joy. But when you look at it, honey, I never would have thought that such a neutral palette would become such a dream in my eyes. And because one of those special shades just has a hint of green to it, it still gives me the feeling that I can play with color without having to be over the top, because this is such a neutral palette. I believe I could wear this out on a glam day. I could wear this to the office. And I just wear it whether I'm in a good mood or a bad mood, just to remind me of the love and friendship that I have with my friend Chanel. And so this palette here, honey, I'm telling you, I would rather give all of them up just to keep this one here. Like, this is my baby. And when I had to pair them up, it just made sense to me to pair them up with this one here, the Mothership Sublime Bronze Temptation. You can already look at the packaging and tell what color tones we're gonna have going in here compared to that Mothership V. And honey, look at that. A warm neutral palette that has a small pop of green in there. So for me, this is not only the perfect companion, but the color story is just beautiful. It just speaks to me. And then to see that this shade right here, it may not come off on camera. It has a slight duochrome effect to it. The name, the packaging, the colors, it's just, I really, really wish I could just pull all of these shades out, plus the ones in number 5, and create my own custom palette. But I'm not sure if I could repurchase this in order to risk destroying it. But I'm really looking to find a second one of these just to see if I can pull that off. And unfortunately, I'm used to hearing things like this, but the palette that I really like saved up, ran to grab out of my own pocket, the one I was most excited to grab was Mothership VI Midnight Sun, and the rest of the world just was not feeling it. They were not looking for it, they did not care. They just, if any of her palettes I think could be considered a flop, I think this one may be it. But I thought she was stunning. Like, look at these colors. To me, they say we're not quite neutral, but we're not quite colorful. And that's, I think, the reason why I like it, because it makes me question my creativity and figure out, Torrence, what can you do with this palette to make it beautiful? Each color here individually is beautiful, but how can you pull them together to make a cohesive and stunning look? And I think the fact that it has that pop of green, it has purples there, but because I like dark jewel tone purples, this lighter one here makes me go, how do you make that work? And these aren't quite warm tones or cool tones to me, they are quite neutral. And that's what makes me try to go, oh, is this gonna be pretty? Is it not? And the fact that I have a product where I know the formula is good, I know the colors are nice, but it still makes me question myself, makes me want to go, you know what? We'll take on this challenge. We'll figure this out and become a better artist in the end. So I know the world doesn't like Mothership VI, but Mother, do not get rid of it because I do. And to go with that palette, the one that I figured once again was probably going to be the eyesores of the makeup world, the Mothership Subliminal Dark Star. This one here came in the blue packaging, and just because my birthstone is sapphire, I decided to go ahead and choose this one, as well as because I really didn't think people would like the color story on the inside. Many people tend to prefer warm tones, so cool tones just don't seem to get as much love in the makeup world. But to me, this is absolutely beautiful and also would have made a really nice companion to Mothership I. But because this has that matte black, which I didn't have in my palette for Mothership VI, because it has those pop of blues, and we know blues and oranges tend to make me a little uncomfortable, having this is something that says, Torrence, go for it, push yourself, you never know what you're capable of. And so that's why I paired this one here with my Mothership VI. This next one here, y'all really showed y'all colors, makeup fans out here. Getting the Mothership VII Divine Rose palette was a struggle. When I tell you, it sold out every single time it dropped. I have never had such a hard time trying to find a palette. But I ended up getting it. And not only did I love it, but we also did a tutorial on this. I'll make sure I leave this in the video. But Divine Rose 1, Mothership 7, baby. When everybody realized we can get Pat McGrath, and although she does some of the best editorial work out there, we could be truly neutral, everyday work friendly. This is like I could wear this on my wedding day and feel comfortable, beautiful, friendly. Oh, honey, the world went crazy. And when I finally got mad, I wasn't letting her go. I wasn't letting her go. But I'm telling you, y'all wasn't playing fair with this. I got it, and I'm happy I got it. But we should not have had to go through that to get this. And of all of the palettes that I could pair it with, I paired it with this one here, the Mothership Sublime Golden Opulence. And I personally like this packaging out of all of them the best, just because it's the old school shape where it has that slight letter front here. And also because this has what looks like a textured packaging. I've never seen or worried about any of this coming off because it's more like a textured paper instead of just jewels or anything that are glued on. The emblems here are a little bit larger and they are textured as well, so you can see and feel that. I absolutely love it. And what we have here on the inside is a warm neutral palette that leans much more pink toned. And because this is called Golden Opulence, of course they did have to go in and put this gold shade right here just for a pop of color. I really like to take that and put that like in the center of a halo eye or as an inner corner highlight whenever I use this palette. Absolutely love it. Not sure if they still have it for sale on the Sephora website, but last time I checked it was still available on the Pat McGrath website. And so this is why I paired this palette up with number 7. And my apologies, during Divine Rose 1, I said I had a video for that. I actually have it for this palette here, the Mothership 8 Divine Rose 2. I did this look on a very close friend who was also my very first male client. And in my opinion, this palette was a little prettier than the Divine Rose 1 just because it had more vibrant colors and I'm someone who is a colorful lover. So I think if you want something much more neutral, Mothership 7 is it. But if you like to go for the bold, bright, and glam, take a look at Divine Rose 2. She did not play with our feelings when it came to this Mothership 8 palette. As you can see, it still got some neutralness going on, but the colorfulness, the vibrancy has been turned up for the girls. And if you want to see the tutorial I did on this, which is still one of my most popular videos, I'll make sure I link that above. But this one here, the girls fell in love with this, and I'm telling you, I understand why. I personally have not worn it, but I think once and took it right back off. But I plan on doing looks with this, especially she gave us a dual chrome special shade. Mother, why do you gotta pull my heartstrings like that? You know I love dual chromes. And the last palette I have here, I also have a video for this. I'll leave it linked right here. It is called the Mothership Rose Decadence palette. And this is where they completely switch things up. It no longer has that letter style format here. It's more of a book style because it opens straight up. And because many customers were complaining about the old school format, I truly believe that is why they switched it up. But I really wish she would have held on to her guns and kept it that way because I don't find this version to be as sturdy. Although the quality of the shadows inside are absolutely beautiful, I just really wish they would have kept that old format. But inside are 6 pinky peachy shades. They're absolutely beautiful. The only thing I would have upgraded about this is the packaging. The matte shades could have used a tad bit more pigmentation, but if you're someone who doesn't like really bold or bright looks, you may like the buildable formula. But to me, out of all of the Pat McGrath palettes, I truly believe this one here has the worst packaging of them all. I have it, I'm keeping it, but I really, really wish I could upgrade the packaging on this. And that's currently all 19 of my Pat McGrath palettes. The only 2 that I currently don't have that I really wish I could have grabbed were the 2 6-pan palettes from the Star Wars release. But those came and went so fast that most people weren't able to grab them. But I really want to do another tutorial using this brand. So please leave me a comment down below letting me know out of all of the palettes, which one would you rather prefer. I'm going to make sure in the description bar, I'm going to leave all of the palette names in the order that I showed them so that you'll know exactly which one to choose from. And don't forget, I'm also going to be doing 2 other videos like that this week, so you'll be able to choose between those. So that way we have a little more interaction, and instead of me just doing what I please, I can also do some of the things that you all like, and I can still get some fun into the video. So I hope you all truly enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up. But for now, remember to practice, continue to stay blessed, and until next time, goodbye YouTube.